Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're diving into the world of polynomials. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Math class flashbacks, right? But stick with me, because we're going to see how these things aren't just numbers on a page. They're actually the secret code behind shapes and curves you see every day. By the end of this, you'll see exactly how an equation translates into a picture. Let's jump in.
So you've definitely seen an expression like 4x plus 2 before. It looks pretty simple, but it's actually part of this huge, powerful family in mathematics. So what's the deal with that? What is this family, and what are the rules for being a member?
Here's our game plan. We're going to start with the absolute basics. What even is a polynomial? Then we'll meet the different members of the family. After that, we'll go on a hunt for a really special value called the zero, see what that actually looks like on a graph, and then finish up with the one big rule that ties it all together.
Okay, first things first. To understand the family, you've got to know the rules of the house, right? So let's get a super clear definition of what we're working with, our fundamental building block, the polynomial.
Let's just break this down with an example, like 5x cubed minus 4x squared plus x minus the square root of 2. The x is our variable. The numbers out front, like 5 and -4, we call those coefficients. But here's the most important rule, the one you absolutely have to remember. It's all about the exponents, those little numbers up top. They must be nice, positive whole numbers, 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on. No fractions, no negatives, no funny business. And the biggest exponent you see, in this case, the 3, that tells us the polynomial's degree. And this slide makes it perfectly clear. On the left, you've got your all-stars, the real polynomials. They all follow the rules. But on the right, these are the imposters. Why? Well, something like 1 over x minus 1 involves division by a variable, and that's a major no-no. And root x? That one's a bit tricky, because it's really just x to the power of 1/2. And since 1/2 is a fraction, not a whole number, it's out of the club.
All right, so now that we know the rules for getting in, let's meet some of the most famous members of the polynomial family. We classify them by their degree, which you can kind of think of as their power level.
So a polynomial with a degree of 1? We call that a linear polynomial. Why? Simple, because its graph is just a straight line. A degree 2 polynomial is called a quadratic. That comes from a word meaning square, which makes sense, right? Its biggest power is x squared. And you can probably guess degree 3 is a cubic polynomial, thanks to that x cubed being its highest power.
Okay, now we get to the really juicy part, the heart of our story. In the world of polynomials, there is one special number we are always on the hunt for. It's a value that unlocks a ton of secrets. This is our quest for the zero.
So first, how do you even find the value of a polynomial? It's actually way easier than it looks. You just take your polynomial, say p of x equals x squared minus 3x minus 4, and then you pick a number to plug in for x. Let's try 2. We just swap out every x for a 2. So 2 squared is 4, minus 3 times 2 is 6, minus 4. So that's 4 minus 6 minus 4, which gives us -6. Simple as that.
Okay, same polynomial, but let's try a different number. What happens if we plug in x equals -1? Let's do the math. -1 squared is a positive 1. Then -3 times -1 becomes a +3. So we have 1 plus 3 minus 4. Wait a minute, that equals 0. Whoa! Okay, something really important just happened right there. And that brings us to the big definition. A zero of a polynomial is simply any number, we can call it k, that makes the entire polynomial's value equal to 0 when you plug it in. In our last example, -1 was a 0. It was like the magic key that made the whole expression just vanish. So, we have this idea of a zero in algebra, but what does it actually look like? What's the point? Well, this is where it all clicks. This is where we connect the numbers to the picture. This is the big reveal. Let's start with a nice, simple linear polynomial, y equals 2x plus 3. To find its zero algebraically, we just set the whole thing equal to 0 and solve for x. And a little bit of shuffling tells us that x equals -3/2. Okay, but now look at its graph. The line y equals 2x plus 3 crosses that horizontal x-axis at exactly one spot. And what is that point? It's -3/2, 0. Check out that x-coordinate. It is the exact same number as this 0 we just found. That is not a coincidence. That is the whole secret. So, does this pattern hold up? Let's go back to our quadratic friend, y equals x squared minus 3x minus 4. We already know that -1 is a 0. Well, it turns out if you plug in x equals 4, you will also get 0.
So this polynomial actually has two zeros, -1 and 4.
And now for the payoff. Look at the graph. This U-shaped curve, this parabola, it crosses the x-axis in two places. And where are they? Bam! -1, 0, and 4, 0. Once again, our two algebraic zeros are the two exact spots where the graph hits the x-axis. How cool is that?
So here it is, the main takeaway, the one thing you need to burn into your brain. The zeros of a polynomial aren't just some abstract math problem. They are literally the x-coordinates of the points where the graph of that polynomial crosses the x-axis. This is the fundamental bridge between the algebra and the geometry.
So we've just seen that a degree 1 polynomial had 1 zero, and a degree 2 had 2 zeros. You're probably starting to see a pattern here, right? Well, let's nail it down and uncover the grand rule that connects a polynomial's degree to how many zeros it can possibly have.
But wait a second. Does a degree 2 polynomial always have two zeros? Not necessarily. It has at most two. As you can see here, there are three possibilities. The graph can slice through the x-axis twice, giving you two zeros. It could just dip down and kiss the axis at one single point, that's 1 0. Or it could float entirely above or below the axis, never touching it at all. And that means it has no real zeros.
And this pattern just keeps on going. A cubic polynomial, degree 3, can have at most 3 zeros. This graph of y equals x cubed minus 4x is a perfect example. It snakes through the x-axis in 3 distinct places. It could have 2 or even just 1, but it can never have more than 3.
And all of this leads us to the grand rule. It's so simple and powerful. For any polynomial of degree n, it can have at most n zeros. A polynomial of degree 5 can cross the x-axis at most 5 times. A degree 100 polynomial can cross it at most 100 times. This one single rule governs the behavior of every polynomial you will ever meet.
So, we've seen how the symbols in an equation can predict a visual shape, how algebra basically tells geometry what to do. But this leaves us with one last big question. If we can go from an equation to a shape, can we go the other way? When we look at the curve of a satellite dish or the arc of a thrown ball, what can those shapes tell us about the hidden polynomial equations that are secretly running the show?